Okay, looking at the last two stanzas together, I did say if you have a look at this stanza here and use the questions to help you. So some of the things I'm hoping that you've picked up on are some of the words again linked to warmth, which links to the stanza beforehand. So this stanza here has reference to religion and that idea of belief. So we get God twice and we get we believe. And I think the focus here for the soldiers is that we believe kind fires burn. We've got the personification of fires here, okay, kind. So they are associating heat and warmth with kindness. And obviously if in the poem, they are not exposed to any of those. The doors we know are closed on them. No, everybody wants to keep them out because they're the soldiers and they are exposed to this awful cold weather. So it's something that they're not experiencing anymore. So we get that sense of loss of this kindness, loss of perhaps what they believed. And we get the warmth here in this next bit as well. And again, the personification of the sun. Now ever sun smile true on child. So we've got the sibilants, sun smile. And we've also got the warmth, the semantic field of warmth, and the personification in this line here. So again, we've got this link about heat, warmth, happiness, that maybe they feel they've lost now, or they are struggling to believe in, stuck in this war. Some of the other things to pick up on here was the word loathe, and understanding what that means. So knowing that that means hate, but if we look at the two lines together here, for God's invincible spring our love is made afraid, okay? Therefore not loathe, we lie out here. So there is a questioning about what they believe in God, that God can save them, invincible, protect them. However, they're not angry with God. There's not hatred there, but maybe the realization that God is not all-powerful and cannot protect them, and therefore they will die. And we can see that in this line here. For love of God seems dying. And they're really struggling to keep their faith and struggling to believe. But I think Wilfred Owen makes it really clear that it's not a hatred, but it's a struggle to believe at the end, especially in the situation that the soldiers are in. Okay, and then finally, if we have a look at this last stanza here, first thing to do is label the metaphor, his frost will fasten. So this pathetic fallacy here brings us right back into the exposure to the poor weather, and the personification of his is quite important to focus on as well. So we could question whether that his is from God, or the idea that the weather has now become a new enemy. And the fact they're talking about that the frost has fastened onto them means that they cannot escape it. It's attached to them, almost like that is going to cause their death. It's encasing them already. Then we've got the verbs in line 2, which are quite important to pick up on here, and the image created by them. So we've got shrivelling hands. Okay, so already this frost is affecting their skin, puckering foreheads. So these are verbs. And the focus here is on what it's doing to their skin physically, how they're being made to seem older, puckering, as in when the skin is wrinkled, and shrivelling, same. So these young men are made old by this weather, almost like they've aged very, very quickly. And then we get this line here, the burying party, picks and shovels in their shaking grasp, and we get a visual image here of a group of men whose job it is in war to actually create the graves of which these soldiers are therefore put in because they've died due to the exposure to the weather. I don't know how you feel about this word party here, but it almost means the opposite. So party, we would think of something positive. However, here, this burying party is negative. A little bit of irony there in use of that, which I think links to that idea of Wilfred Owen actually being quite angry that they were sold a lie. They were sold a lie about why they were joining up to be soldiers. And then I think another important one to pick up on here is all their eyes are ice. So we know that we've got this group that are burying the soldiers who are dying, who are creating these graves, and even they are suffering. However, this last image here that we're left with, these are the eyes of the soldiers. And we know from the image of ice that actually this means death, that they've gone. And it's the ice that's taken over, which was fastened to them here. So this idea of the ice metaphorically is representing the idea of death caused by exposure as opposed to caused by death from the guns or the weapons of the other soldiers. And then we're left with that refrain again at the end, which we've talked about before. So hopefully what you have now is a fully analysed poem on exposure. Any other questions, I suggest you use the booklet where you could add more detail to them here, which is on page 11.